I just found proof that my pregnant wife has relapsed. Hi. I'm going to put a trigger warning here because this contains mentions of drug use. My wife is addicted to heroin. I said it. I created this account just to be able to admit this somewhere. I have a hard time saying it even though I've been to many NARAnon meetings. I used to be able to say it easily, back when I was seething with anger toward her the first time we did this song and dance. I have a regular Reddit account that I sometimes post in a parenting sub on, and I don't really want this tied to my account. Maybe I will post about it there when I'm ready, but this isn't something I readily share or am ready to share. I thought I was past having to talk about this all the time or think about it every single day. When I went through this with her the first time, there was a period where I probably only really talked to other loved ones of addicts because they were the only people who could understand what I was going through. I'm sorry to say I've lost touch with all of them. I've just been sitting here on my couch crying for 15 minutes. I felt like she's been off the past few days. She fell asleep early tonight, so I took the opportunity to search the house. I found her supplies hidden in various places. I already knew, but I needed the proof. So I tore the house apart until I found proof. She strategically placed the items in different places, not all together. I feel oddly vindicated, since she kept assuring me she hadn't taken anything. It starts to make you feel crazy. In a weird way, I wanted to find proof, just so I wouldn't feel so crazy anymore. On the other hand, I didn't want to find anything. She has a long history of drug use, mainly pain meds and heroin. It started when she was a teenager and was prescribed pain meds after a bad injury. She was a normal girl then, not into anything bad or illegal, not hanging around with people who did drugs, not somebody you'd think would wind up a heroin addict by the time she got to college. She got hurt playing a high school sport. She got addicted and started buying pills on the street until that became too expensive and she turned to heroin. I didn't know her then. I met her when she was 26 and she'd been clean for only about 6 months. She'd been clean off and on for years, but only for short times. She shouldn't have been dating me, or anyone for that matter, since they generally advise not dating anyone for a year when you're in recovery. I've never been a drug user. I knew very little about this world before meeting her. She didn't tell me about it until we'd been dating for probably a month or so. It was a huge shock. She seemed totally normal, so sweet, so pretty and healthy looking, had a good job, was smart and just seemed together. We got married a year after meeting. I've kicked myself so many times for being so stupid, so unrealistic. I loved her so much, still do, but now my love feels polluted or tarnished. We wanted kids but decided to wait a while. I at least realized she needed to be in recovery for a longer period of time before we took that step. She got pregnant after we'd been married about 3 years. She'd been clean for nearly 5 years and things in our lives were going great. My career was going so well. Her life was back on track, she was doing really well and being promoted at work. We had a dog that she doted on. We bought a new house. It was early on in her first pregnancy when I discovered she was using again. It came out that she'd started using again shortly before getting pregnant. We separated legally and lived separately as well, with me paying for everything. She continued to use heroin for months while pregnant, but finally entered an outpatient program for pregnant women. So I'm really rambling now, sorry. She followed the instructions during the later half of her pregnancy, was under a specialist's care, had to take prescribed opiates since quitting cold turkey while pregnant can be more dangerous, but eventually got clean from everything within a few months of our child's birth. By some huge miracle our baby was born pretty healthy, small but within normal range. She suffered from very mild neonatal abstinence syndrome, with mild symptoms that lasted a few days. It was still excruciating to watch her endure, but it could have been much worse. I had primary custody and still lived separate from her, but she had regular contact with the baby, always supervised. She did everything she was told to do, passed all the drug tests, went to every meeting. That was 4 years ago. Initially I didn't plan to stay married to her. I was disgusted by what she did while pregnant with our child. I'm still disgusted by it but don't think about it like I used to. Over the past 4 years we have slowly repaired our relationship and marriage. Again, things have been going great. She made a huge effort. She was sticking with her recovery program and really seemed dedicated to it. She got really into whole body health, physical and mental, and seemed like the best version of herself I've known. This pregnancy wasn't planned. She's about 12 weeks pregnant with our second child. She was supposedly on birth control. I was scared. Her being pregnant again was giving me some sort of PTSD. We had the talk early on. I couldn't deal with what she put me through last time. And if she was tempted to do anything she shouldn't or if she did it just one time to please tell me. It'd be better to tell me than to hide and lie about it. It wasn't until this week that I knew something was off. There's a certain look in her eyes, her voice changes, her mannerisms change, even her smell changes. I can just see the smallest signs of when she's used any amount of something. I swore I would never let myself be as oblivious as I was the first time around. She's not been nodding out or anything like that in front of me, but I just knew. She's been getting home earlier than me due to some classes she's taking for a job-related certification. I think she's using during that gap and it's sort of worn off by the time I get home, but the signs are still evident enough for me. I haven't woken her up. I wanted to. I wanted to scream at her. Instead, I just sat in the living room and cried. I don't know how I survived this the first time, but I don't think I'll survive it a second time.